More so, I don't think Azir is as blindable as we've seen him in years past, but definitely want to make sure that the up-and-comer Kalix is not on a comfort champion.
Speaking of comfort champions of late, see a Kiana ban from Nongshim. Very smart. Tian has been lethal on this champion, both towards the end of the LPL split, but also we saw him have a pretty good performance in the ASI with this very champion. I still like when he can get those carry champion angles. This will not be one of those games. What I see is Jarvan's already left up. What surprises me is that we don't slam it, and we pick Corki. So this might be the most... Oh, I forgot Oriana's banned. So I still think Jarvan is picked here for Nongshim nonetheless. I think that's a good start.
I think that's fine as well. The Corki just kind of disincentivizes it a little bit. It gives one less target that the Jarvan is going to want to go towards. Especially with Wukong gone. Xin Zhao, Vi, I feel like those three champions that we were talking about do definitely gain in priority. The trade here for Nongshim is going to be grabbing themselves the Nico for Lehends. So let's see whether or not they're going to be opting in for that jungle strategy.
Or do they just try to lock down their bottom lane? They're going to pick the Rumble. This is very intriguing. Rumble is good, very good, but I always like to talk about the Jarvan Rumble combination. It's like the Hot Pocket, people like to say, something like that. But now you pick the Rumble, and now you give Tian the Jarvan. So maybe I just have too high hopes on Jarvan priority, but I would feel like this would be the jungle swing here for Weibo. And maybe a counter pick here for Breathe. We'll have to see exactly where their allegiances lie in this one as they take up, well, the entirety of the clock to make the pick, and they will lock down the Jarvan.
Yeah, I think that's fine. You and Mazel, man, you guys are both on the Jarvan kick this week. Fair enough. He's a pretty decent champion. Gives you strong team fighting.
I think with Oriana, I think with Oriana, J4 is undefeated. It's like 4-0 or 5-0 in the tournament.
I would be
pretty
disgusting
Oriana.
if that's true. Yeah, that is true. So the Alistar here for lane can knock away the Nico, even though it's a little tough. I think more importantly, kind of see what Nongshim are going to go for. I think Alistar makes it so that Nongshim side have to think, okay, well, do we want to go for things like in a mobile mage in mid lane, like Victor and the like, get a little bit less enticing here. And we get into the second phase of draft. I wonder if either of our mid laners are thinking about a Sylas this game.
I was thinking the same thing.
It would be very good for Xiaohu, but for Kalix's side, I think getting yourself the Alistar ultimate and the Jarvan ult is not all that bad of a trade.
Yeah, and then you have another champion that can kind of try, if you are Nongshim, to dash out of Cataclysm combos and stuff like that. Already for Nongshim, though, I really want to emphasize how strong of a comp. One, this is around team fighting, but more specifically, those more like early to mid-game skirmish-based team fights, right? You have the pick power of a Vi, you have a Nico that's going to get a ton of value with finding these Tangle Barbs, these Pop Blossoms, and then you have the Rumble that really spikes pretty hard on 2 items around those fights, combining these ultimates. You've got Weibo that have a lot more front line. It's going to get a lot more valuable as the game goes on, and a Corki whose value will continue to skyrocket. So looking for pairings for both of those compositions going forward, especially AD carries. I'm curious what hot off his pentakill Jiwoo is looking to play in this one. It will not be the Kaisa to pair as a dive buddy with the Vi. That one is for sure.
This might just be a Jhin angle. I think they are going to need some reliable or not reliable, but I should say like some kind of champions that are going to be looking for an engage. You have some amount of poke, especially if you're going to have an equalizer. Definitely helps as the fight goes on, and just want a resilient laner. Let's see what the pick here is going to be for Nongshim. Or is it still going to be that Sylas? I know we were kind of high on it, but there's still a couple of other champions that we haven't quite seen pop on through. It's going to be the Yunara, which I don't know if I like, but if you see it from Nongshim's perspective, I think they have quite a lot of damage, and as long as they can get all of those buttons in a row, maybe this is a team fight that looks good here for Weibo.
This is definitely a confidence call for Jiwoo, because I'm with you. This is not a normal Yunara draft. It's putting a lot of onus on him to kind of just maybe mechanically outplay some of these team fights, you know, be able to... Wow. Okay, you know what? Never mind. I'm stopping that point immediately. Yunara, unplayable in this game. Good luck with an Ambessa, Galio, Alistar, and J4 coming for this Yunara.
Yeah.
Maybe Nongshim are going to bank on the fact that the other damage dealers will be able to bring the fights home, because I'm praying for my marksman buddy down here, Alk.
So what is the mid pick here going to be for Kalix? Has to be an AP mage. Already has the LeBlanc and the Aurora Band. Oh, are going Renekton mid into this. Now, is this going to be some swap shenanigans? Because Renekton is a traditional counter pick. I don't think you want to send the Galio into the Rumble, though, so I think this is just going to be Renekton mid. Now, I don't like this draft here. As funny as it is, I think that Nongshim are incredibly telegraphed with what plays they can make. They're very short-ranged outside of the Vi ultimate, and now you're going to have to be playing as a bunch of melees or shorter-ranged characters into Alistar, into Galio. That sounds like a rough proposition in my mind, including the Mbessa and the Jarvan.
Yeah, I think this is, as much as we talked about the Kingen versus Breathe matchup and where they both have been at in this tournament, I think this is a wondrous setup for Breathe to play this game out if he can get ahead, right? You talked about how crazy of a front line, how short range. It's the fact that Galio and Alistar can really help set up this Mbessa to fly through a lot of these team fights. And Light, obviously, on this Corki, if he can Valkyrie out of a lot of these Cataclysms, I think his damage value is going to be pretty high. And that's for a guy in Light that we've talked about a lot as the year has come down for Weibo, as just not really being consistent in his performances. And we saw that in the ASI a couple of times here as well. I think when we talk about which AD carries have a better time surviving, getting through all their spells in team fights, especially for a Corki that kind of just needs to rely on those spell rotations, not necessarily elongated fights like the Lunara, Light is in a pretty prime position as Weibo are going to look to try and overcome some Nongshim trickery with their solo lane draft here in Game 1 of our knockout stage.
All right, let's see if my buttons are right. Let's send us into game. 3, 2, 1. Never mind. See, I didn't click it.
Oh!
Good thing I didn't click it here. This is also Kalix's first Renekton game of his career. So,
okay.
I think that that's a pretty interesting shout. Has a lot to do if he's going to get over Xiaohu. And there we go. Let's get ahead and over game. Let's see if the audio sources are correct.
All right. Now we get to start testing audio as we hit back onto Summoner's Rift here. And we get a... Oh, we're going to have to adjust this this viewing. This is a very Weibo-favored viewing right now. You know what? This is kind of on brand for us at LPL English, honestly.
Oh, it's too big.
Yeah, it's too big. I was hoping you could hear me while you. Okay, Ulk's on it. We'll get it. Okay, level 1 is already chaos. Oh, Kalix, why are we here? Okay, he's gonna flash over. So we trade Crisp and Kalix flash. Okay, all right. Well, they are sending the Galio into the Renekton, but now already Xiaohu is very happy with the help that Kalix and, well, kind of a Crisp has allowed him comfort in this lane. And, well, making their way back towards the bot lane. I don't think they even lose a whole lot for that. So, a little bit of a blunder there.
This is great coming on through here for Weibo. The matchup in mid might be slightly tougher, but with him not having flash, it makes it even easier. Already down to a third of his HP, and Tian can make an entrance early. I think the only thing that might be kind of stopping this right now is the vision coverage. Weibo getting early wards on enemy Raptors, going to try and spot out Gideon, but Nongshim doing the same, and by knowing that that camp is up and available, it's allowing for Kalix to have a little bit of safety, at least for the next few moments.
Yeah, not going to see, not going to see any crab fights coming in from Tian and Gideon, but Tian is going... Oh, he doesn't get spotted here. Kalix has no idea. This gang should be first blood if Tian doesn't time the flag and drag like that. Kalix is very fortunate that he kind of just wiggles on out of that gank he had no idea was coming.
Okay. Does get to enter into bot side, has prio from mid. Bot lane is kind of stuck in the middle of the wave. Does Tian actually want to go for this? No, he's going to try and see if he can force onto Jiwoo.
Ooh, good sidestep from Jiwoo. No knockup, and Tian now takes a bit more punish coming out of that gank. And tempo-wise, he is very behind the ball here compared to Gideon. Gideon is going to get his entire first clear done as Tian starts on his Krugs, so that's bad.
Yep, finishing his blue buff now, and he's going to be here a little bit before the timer. Might even actually have enough time to either invade or just straight up try to deny some of these camps. The push on bottom lane is also going to help. Lehends going to be able to overextend himself here and get double red buff. So Gideon in a very good spot. Don't think it'll change too much for the timer around the grubs in 4 minutes, but if Gideon can maybe squeeze a little bit more XP.
Okay, Chris re-engages onto Gideon. The red buff hasn't been taken. Flash Talk comes across to Xiaohu. Gets onto 2 members. They're trying to just burn through Gideon's health bar. Doesn't flash out the flag and drag. Light's over the wall. Kalix picks up the first blood, but he is very low, and Light is relatively untouched and ignored in this one. No flash for the Croc, and it's just going to be a matter of seconds. Oh my god, Light starts the back. He didn't even want the kill. He wants the reset instead. Weibo successfully defend their bot side jungle.
And there was no scuttle taken there by Gideon, so immediately you see Tian, he's going to skip towards the top side, maybe even just finish a full clear on top side with his Gromp and his Wolves, and all of this advantage that Nongshim was able to get in the early parts of this game, kind of neutered at this point. It is just Lehends now sticking around. Xiaohu can be here. Whoa, whoa,
That is the shortest flag and drag you've ever seen in a competitive League of Legends game. Tian throws the thumbs up as the full talk combo goes on to Gideon, who is just completely homeless in this game by this point. Already down 20% HP. Tian's going to re-engage on top of Lehends as well with the flag and drag. And here's that beefy CC right to front line. Tian flashes after Lehends. He's just bopping him with his staff. Guesses right on the clone. Waiting for his cooldowns, but the Tangle Barb comes up first. Flag and drag comes across, and Tian, when we thought he was gated out of his jungle, is now 2-0 ahead.
And he gets, okay, all right guys, let's get a remake.
Grasshopper was on a bit of a heater, though. Oh, here we go.
Oh, game.
Network is stabilized. And Tian, oh, you were right. I was wrong. You know what? This is why Alk's such an
I was getting gaslit for 0, dog. I was like, whatever, I'll just let it happen. I didn't see that. I was like, maybe I didn't see it. Breathe.
Just flashed back towards the enemy turret because he thought Chris would get over the wall in time. But it seems like he stalled out long enough. Good punt out from Chris. Tian and Chris took 3 turret shots, by the way, just to make sure Breathe doesn't die. And yeah, you know what, Chris? You earned that one, big dog. 4th kill in a row for Weibo.
All right, so what camps can Gideon get? He got Dragon, and he's going to look to try to invade. Xiaohu is just here to make sure Raptors are not getting started. He's pinging on a red buff. You should see some visuals here. Red buff is going to get pushed off.
What's going on?
Wow, Gideon gets nothing out of this trade. Like, it actually would have been better for Tian if Gideon had taken some of these camps so that they can start to rubber band in terms of gold and experience. These are still level 1 Raptors, Red, and Krugs, but Gideon gets nothing on the back end of that, so Weibo get to start off this game 4-1. They get a 1,500 gold lead, and they've already set behind the top side of the map.
At least for Gideon, he does sneak away that dragon. I think that is very valuable with everything that's happening on the top side. But yeah, I mean, it's a 1K gold lead for the jungle alone here. Tian, it's going to be Tunneler 2 longswords. Gideon's not going to look to take a reset to try and match that. Is Ruby, Crystal, and Longsword for a bit. He still has some camps to go through. And even once he does reset, I mean, this should just give Tian all the time in the world to honestly do grubs on his own by this point. We'll see how much of a contest Nongshim even make towards those grubs, because right now it just feels very difficult to even logically make that play, especially knowing that Tian is going to be level 6, correct, Alk, once he gets through all of his topside camps here. So that Cataclysm also going to be up for the grubs in a minute.
Yeah, after this blue buff, he should have level 6 here, so pretty strong. I think with how close the objective is spawning, I don't think it's going to be very meaningful. There is no teleport and flash on Kingen, but he has a lot of vision on top side. You already saw that Tian was clearing a control ward on his blue buff, so kind of makes it a little bit difficult here. I mean, Lehends right now just trying to take control of the river. Galio has ultimate, but with no teleport, he's going to have to catch this wave first and then move. We're seeing Weibo putting a lot of effort into this top side here.
And despite how bad of an early game this has been for Nongshim, they still do hold a lot of very good key ultimates that make skirmishing difficult for any team here. The problem being that Gideon, all right, there we go. So cease and desist is up for this Vi now. And Gideon is going to try and make his way towards the topside gate, but Tian is lying in wait in this brush. Gideon's going to clear out the pink ward. There's a much more dangerous player inside the pixel brush, and it looks like we're lagging again.
Okay, I think it's the Nongshim boy. Fingers crossed had one that has been super, super long. Going back to game.
All right. So now Tian is spotted. Gideon's still going to engage with a Vault Breaker forward. 2v2 for the time being. Like you mentioned, neither, I guess, mid laner. I guess neither AP solo laner can join this. Xiaohu is walking up river, so he does have that hero's entrance. Crisp is going to engage in. Xiaohu can join much faster than Kingen, so Nongshim have to be very careful about this engagement. They're going to cease assist on top of Tian. They're trying to get the shutdown, and they will before Xiaohu lands through. That is claimed by Kalix as he goes dominant form. And somehow, some way, Nongshim are making this grub fight work. They are now on even footing 4-on-4. Jiwoo's Transcendence is coming, taking down his public execution, comes across for Breathe. They're going after Jiwoo on the back end, but he gets stunned up, locked out, and the magic carpet comes down. Breathe is trapped with no way out, and there's no way for Weibo and friends to save him.
We just don't have enough damage. Once Jarvan is dead, that kind of is a large portion of our damage in the early game here. It is a 8-minute Sundered Sky. We should have just let him recall and get that item, guys. I feel like Weibo, knowing this information now, should have just called off the fight. This starts with Crisp going in. I don't see why he flashes, but maybe he's expecting to get engaged upon. That's Kingen dying
Xiaohu?
in the picture-in-picture. And then this ultimate, there's just no lockdown. All of this crowd control from Nongshim doing a good job of layering so that they can take down the jungler and make this grub fight incredibly easy for them. It sucks that Breathe could not get this kill onto Jiwoo, but I mean, the back end of this fight is just so good, especially when you have a numbers advantage like this.
Good flash there from Jiwoo to make sure he doesn't get hit by the public execution. It's actually Kalix, whether he wanted to or not, that ends up taking that one up. We saw, like you mentioned, the picture that Tian needs some help here from this Weibo team because he is a perfect 5-for-5 KP, and it is still Nongshim now within 200 gold, mainly because Kalix's Renekton mid now holds the highest gold lead of anybody here. As Chris gets caught going for some vision, double knockup comes across, though. There's the Cataclysm's going to trap the Nico in it, whether she brings her clone out or not, and Lehends has to commit the flash.
This is going to be a consistent issue in this game, is whether or not we actually have enough damage from Weibo's side. Xiaohu's going for the AP variation here of the Galio, so hoping that will be more important later. But we talked about both teams being relatively short-ranged, and most of the time when you're gated by range, sometimes your kits are a little bit weaker. Galio is not going to have that same impact. Alistar is not a champion that we know is going to be incredibly powerful in that department. So we need to see them be really consistent, and I think these two compositions are going to test whether or not teams really understand where and how their teammates are positioning in relation to them.
Gideon going for a gank here on the Breathe. The slow from the Equalizer forces Breathe to flash, but will survive that gank. As we see on the bot side, it's going to be a Drake trade here for Tian. So we will split that win con one apiece here. So good little response there from Tian again, as Breathe does survive that top lane gank. But Light definitely needs to respect the power of this Croc that has already got the Black Cleaver completed and looking to brawl any chance that Kalix gets.
Okay. Trying to look for a little bit more on top side. Kingen and Gideon not able to do all that much. We're seeing that Kalix in a side lane. It's going to be very, very difficult to deal with. When you just think about how this game is going to continue on. Who from the side of Nongshim really wants to face off into a Rumble, or into a Galio, I should say. And for Weibo, I don't think there are many matchups here that you really want to play into Renekton. So let's see how our supports move around. Big talking point for us throughout the season was Crisp, whether it was on Top Esports or on Weibo. Can he actually put a couple of games together that look really strong? Because he's famously been a player that has been very, very strong at certain points. But this year in particular, I have not been that impressed with Crisp's play.
Talking more about Kalix, as we do see him looking to kind of scrap with Xiaohu. Hold on, though. Tian nearby. Taunt going to land first. Kalix does have that dominance. This is a 1 versus 2, but again, like you said, Alk, I don't know if there's enough damage to consistently deal with this Croc. Xiaohu having a Hex Flash, a Hex Portal Belt away. That is a hero's interest behind to get back towards Tian, who also had to flash. And Weibo are learning the hard way that Kalix is going to be a problem that demands much more than 2 members of the squad.
That was very cheeky coming in from Weibo, but a very big investment from them. Not only Tian losing his flash, but the hero's entrance as well. Gideon is now here to take away some camps. Kalix is going to have some time to hopefully get a wave in under this turret. And you look across the other side, I don't think Weibo are getting all that much off of this, so still have one grub. One grub is still alive here in this game.
It's a lonely, lonely grub. But the point that I want to talk about, not just for the lack of damage convo with Weibo, because Breathe is going for the Maw for the lane matchup against Kingen, and like you mentioned, it's the Rocket Belt for Xiaohu. I don't think anyone's going to even be really tanky for a while to deal with the damage that Kalix puts out. So we're in this kind of unfortunate scenario right now for Weibo where a lot of their damage is invested, you know, in a Jarvan that kind of throws himself into danger, the nature of his kit every time. And we're not really that bullish of a front line to where we can stop the Croc from doing whatever he wants. So I think Weibo are going to have to be very precise with their plays and very cautionary around the skirmishes they take in these next couple of windows, despite Tian's great start to this one.
It'll feel a lot better when we get to 5v5s. I mean, we don't have an Mbessa using her ultimate, right? So there are some things that are still lining up. Haven't seen the calibration between our mid-jungles here work all too well. But right now, when we look at the map, don't have an objective to play for. There's still 2 minutes before the Dragon, and what I'm looking at is Tian does not have flash. How can we punish this? Can we maybe invade on top side after Gideon finishes this camp? He'll have level 9 when he's done. Maybe we can look for something on bottom side. How do we cover our 2 solo lanes? It looks like we're getting another swap here. Teleport being issued out by Xiaohu. He'll be here first. Does Kingen end up matching? He is very close to level 11.
We already saw Kalix was walking back towards that very top side, so Xiaohu invests the TP, but Nongshim kind of read this play, and they swap back into the lanes that they want to play through here. Still the Rumble and Besta, still the Galio versus the Renekton for now, as the Herald does spawn, and we get both of these bottom lanes jockeying for mid priority, but it's Gideon that's going to get the first sort of walk in towards this river, and they're going to be able to clear out a lot of Weibo vision. And Crisp, for now, simply has to respect this and maybe try and allow Tian to get this flank set up around.
Okay. The teleport before was just getting them vision priority. You can see by having the scuttle is doing a lot of work here. Breathe is not going to use his teleport to join. He's going to try to walk to this fight first. 4,000 HP. Here comes a TP from Kingen.
Kingen, Pop Blossom from Lehends is going to get headbutted out, but it does secure the Rift Herald here for Nongshim. One slow lands onto Crisp. They've got Kalix with the Dominus already going. Weibo are able to get out before any of these big ults claim them, thanks to Crisp and the headbutt.
Wow. That was a huge play coming on through. And now, Kalix is TP'd away. Breathe is maybe going to look for something not on this wave, but jetting them into position 10 seconds before this Dragon spawns. I think Nongshim, knowing that they don't have very many ultimates to use for this fight, are going to be a little bit more bullish about walking into the river here. It is only third Drake. Nobody's on Soul Point quite yet. But this should be Weibo with a very strong position going into this part of the game.
I think our LCK team in this matchup, yeah, they're just going to make the respect play and sacrifice the third Dragon. Like you mentioned, no Dominus, no Pop Blossom, especially with the game state we have now. Makes it a pretty hard sell for Nongshim to fight through. So we'll have the second Drake, the first Infernal, going over towards the Weibo side. First break could play a pretty key role into these feats of strength, but none of these turrets are too unhealthy, kind of the nature of how low range both of these compositions are, as we're getting first items across the board for everyone. And like we kind of talked about, a good amount of first item spikes coming through on both sides. Mainly want to point out the Eclipse here that gives Breathe a lot more room to operate, and obviously Black Cleaver going to play a big role for Kalix and the rest of Nongshim going forward, as they already just dropped Shelly right off the bat towards the mid lane.
Let's just use it now. Let's try to see if we can get some gold here for Jiwoo. It's going to be Tian showing up to kill this objective. But Gideon gets control on top side. And more importantly for me, I think this is important for Nongshim RedForce to get Kingen, another wave. Kalix.
Breathe. Yep, just going to have to commit the flash there. There's just no way to really contest with this Croc at this current juncture. Gideon's going to Vault Breaker in. Tian says, all right, I'll throw down the Cataclysm. Chris goes in as well, but the Transcended Jiwoo on this Yunari is pumping a ton of damage. Gets knocked up by Xiaohu, but he's not going to go after the Yunari. Instead goes to try and taunt many members of Nongshim. That was the one thing that they couldn't really afford, is Jiwoo is able to find the one kill onto Tian. Untouched Yunara is going to be a problem, and Nongshim are reminding Weibo early.
Oh, does Kingen get this? This is very close. The flash coming out from Chris. Kingen's going to try to search for it. Doesn't get the stop onto Light's back, but this will be the mid-tier 1 falling. All the while, Kalix is on a side lane right now, constantly pushing. And who is going to be able to match? Breathe is teleporting him, but he doesn't have the public execution. What are we looking for? No teleport, no flash?
Jiwoo
We're losing a turret for free.
Right
Maybe we lose 2
Yeah.
turrets for free. 3!
It's definitely, yeah, it might even be 3. Weibo really kind of just panicking on the map right now, Hulk.
What the hell is happening? Gideon, oh, they're going to catch Breathe here. He is just dead. He is just gone. Can they catch up with him? Crisp is here. They can get 1 more turret topside. Lehends can try to reinforce this side of the map. Jiwoo's going to reset and get himself maybe closer to his second item already. But this has been such a weird early game. Weibo coming out with big haymakers to start. And while it was Gideon who found an individual advantage stealing away some camps, I feel like being cohesive has not necessarily been Weibo's strength this year.
Okay. Crisp and Breathe just kind of hanging out on the river. Kingen and Kalix nearby with Lehends. Nothing's really. They're just pushing down here to grab this top tier 1 turret. So this is going to be Nongshim knocking down all the outer turrets. And again, I want to just highlight Kalix, not just for his lead, but the items he's turned them into by this point. For a skirmish mid-game comp like this Croc wants to operate in, Sterax and Black Cleaver. I don't know how we kill off Kalix unless he rudely mispositions.
And he's going to get like a bonus 600 HP because he just pressed his ultimate. Tian's going to search.
Oh, Lehends Pop Blossom to hold everybody at bay. Already popped Alistar's ultimate, but very, very low. It's Xiaohu with the flank on the back end as Kalix is trapped in the Cataclysm. They're going to try and turn on to Xiaohu. Going to get back out, go back in with the hero's interest. Jiwoo is going to get knocked off to the side. Kalix not close enough for a Cold the Beak, but it doesn't matter. Gideon with Jiwoo's damage is more than enough to just barrel through all of Weibo. Flash forward comes across for Gideon, wants to pick up a 3rd, make it a 4th. They're looking for Bree with the Flame Spitter, but Nongshim just run Weibo over on the top side.
In the last 3 minutes, Nongshim have gotten 4 turrets and 6 kills almost. This is an incredible spike coming on through for our LCK representatives here. And it's going to be immediately starting up the Otacon. That was Xiaohu using his ult and his teleport to get into that fight. And it went for naught. I mean, Nongshim just straight up win the game after what has been a hectic 3 minutes for Weibo.
They're going to try and see if Tian can get in for a hero steal on this Otacon. Can he flag and drag his way in? It's low enough for him to go for it. Tian steals the Otacon. A lifeline for Weibo.
There it is. I just want Tian's player cam. Full zoom, full screen right there. Laughing his head off. He knows he shouldn't have gotten away with that. It was a one-way trip. We take a look back at this fight. This is where I am like questioning myself. Why is there a Galio in my backline like this? Why did we use TP and this ultimate gets no value? It splits the fight just barely. Breathe misses his ultimate, and it just means that Jiwoo can now fire uninhibited. A Tangle Barb's coming on through from Lehends, sets up Light, and even more flashes, more lives, and more gold going over in favor of Nongshim. They're going to make this play into Kalix.
But the damage, do they have enough of it? There's the Sterax shield. The wave is completely gone. Kalix 1 versus 3. He says, bring another. Light shows up here to try and at least find the kill, and they will get it thanks to the public execution. But the Vault Breaker cease and desist combo. Gideon locks down Breathe under the turret, and now Light gets caught, has to flash, but Kingen's damage and Gideon's Vault Breaker find the trade. The cooldowns reset, and Gideon wants more. Kalix outplays the dive, and everything on the map is just going Nongshim's way.
Don't worry, Tian also died on the midway versus Jiwoo and Lehends. That was a Pop Blossom coming in from the Nico. Nongshim can do no wrong here in this game, number 1. There was a lot of hope for Weibo, but of course Weibo could only do it in their way. They are straight up losing this game here. There are so many turrets down. It is 22 minutes, and we're going to basically have what is going to feel close to a 10,000 gold deficit for the LPL. I mean, Dragon's up. There's no timers here for Weibo, and Nongshim just have better connection. This mid-champion, I think the solo lanes are providing a lot of value here. Kalix is doing wonders on this first time Renekton in competitive.
We talked about those items, right? The Sterax in these skirmishes helps out in that dive wondrously. Nongshim now with all the strength they hold with a 7K gold lead. If objectives spawn on the map, they are going to be all over them. Second Infernal Soul. Drake going to be claimed here by this point. We can start seeing even more gold in the items for Nongshim. The main thing I want to kind of highlight, Ulk, we were a bit critical of the Yunara pick. Jiwoo has made it work, and more importantly, 3-item Yunara in a game like this. Ooh, boy.
Yeah. To be fair to Yunara, like, Jiwoo has been able to have some good fights. That's kind of what this Vi and Renekton are going to be able to do in a game. But we had questions as to whether or not it was going to be able to perform because there's so much crowd control, so much lockdown. But we haven't gotten a Weibo team fight that feels cohesive. We have members on both sides. Most of the time, they are mostly scrambling to get away from Nongshim, not trying to find that dive with the Ambessa and the Jarvan. So if we're not going to see fights like that, then sure, you could pick any champion at that point, and I'm sure Jiwoo would be able to have a field day with Weibo.
And what I'm curious, okay, Ulk, to get your take on with some of these further Weibo items. Might have to stop for a second. Is Tian, okay, he's not even steal the red buff away. I don't think he's ever in position to even try this. GIDEON reminding him that these camps are his now. Tian has no property value around this area of the map. Light can throw down some early damage. Nongshim really committed to staying here in this jungle, potentially looking for a fight, knowing how far they are ahead, but the poly execution onto Lehends forces them to flash over the Drake pit wall, and that'll cool things down for now, unless Nongshim want to find a flank, and they've actually caught Light out here. Valkyrie and Gideon's going to turn his attention back towards the rest of Weibo. And camp together. Taunt from Xiaohu not going to land. It's getting over the wall. The cease and desist, though, onto Tian. He takes a couple of turret shots. He takes about 3 of them. Has to flash himself out. Breathe wants to go after with a flash of his own, but he falls into the wall, and Jiwoo finds the trade. Yunara transcended. Let's see how many autos he can get down. The Pop Blossom onto 3 is definitely going to give him enough value to just turn into a living machine gun and ram down Weibo under their own tier 2 turret. Give him a double. Nongshim cannot lose a fight right now.
I think the idea of trying to dance around this bottom side is fine. Baron spawns in 10 seconds, and they were looking to see if Weibo would try to find to engage, try to use some of those summoner spells, and that ended up being true. Nongshim find the pick, use Breathe to try to dive into the backline. It means Lehends loses his flash. We take a look at this. It's the back end of this fight with this replay. The pick onto Tian, in theory, is if we can get their jungler, surely this turns into an objective. And honestly, they are so far ahead, they can play around with their gold lead if they want. All of those buttons used to try to pick off the jungler of Nongshim goes for naught. Baron now at half HP. Weibo are going to try to walk in, but Light is half. Kalix can TP back into this play, and Lehends is about to have that Pop Blossom coming back up.
Kalix is canceled trying to back, so he's got to stick around. Weibo need to either decide to go for the Baron or go for the all-out fight here because they're taking a lot of damage. Kingen is full HP on the top side of this, corralling Weibo. It's Kalix and Kingen keeping all of Weibo pinched. Gideon goes into the pit. Vaultbreaker's back out. Light's already dead. It's once again Tian to secure a big objective, but the Pop Blossom is just bigger. Breathe tries to get back towards Jiwoo, but there isn't enough damage. Xiaohu to rescue it. No, an ace in the Baron pit for Nongshim as they have run over this game 1.
They're going to teleport 2 members mid. Can they actually end is another question. It's still 30-second death timers. 3 grubs, no Baron at their backs, and barely a minion wave here to help them. Kalix doesn't have Dominus either. I think this is a little risky. This might just be inhibitor and recall. All right, that's going to be the call coming on through for our Noodle Boys.
Whoa, what a bombastic game 1. I like the look from Weibo. They knew Nongshim couldn't reset on this Baron, but take us back through this little pincer move we saw from the solos.
I mean, Light is just useless this fight, unfortunately. Partially not his fault because he's basically moving from a bad fight into another one without having a reset in between to get his health, but he gets immediately taken out. All of the damage is not available coming on through for Weibo. And Ambessa tried as they might, try to get in the back line with this Galio, and you just saw it more and more. Jiwoo just gets to rip apart the front line of Weibo Gaming. Nongshim now, no Baron, but an open inhibitor in mid. Jiwoo is getting a red buff in top side and is going to move on down. It would be Soul Point's 5th dragon of the game. I don't know if we necessarily see a Soul with how this one is looking.
Yeah, not the way the Nongshim can team fight through a lot of these spots here. And like you talked about, measured aggression is what they've shown in this bot side jungle. Is they're trying to cover for Kalix to both allow these super minions to get into the Weibo base. You're seeing Light having to deal with them currently, and Kalix bringing the bottom lane wave up. They do not care about top turrets. That is going to be objective bounty that Xiaohu gets, and he will be able to reset here. So a little bit of a gold investment paying off there for Weibo now, but they've got much more pressing matters on the bot side of the map.
It doesn't get much better for them. It's not like they scale infinitely versus their opponents. It's not like the matchups get easier for them to play with items. So for now, it is just Weibo got to walk as 3 or 4, got to walk as a crew, and hopefully they can get something. I mean, yeah, he's basically their only magic damage in this game, so he has to kind of do this. Weibo, they're going to have to fish with their bodies, move forward. Dragons very freely going over to Nongshim. The best part of this game was definitely them somehow getting both the Otacon and the Dragon and the Baron, because it's kept them technically in the game. Functionally, I don't know how much it's been useful.
You know what it's useful for? Narratives. The Tian has done everything he can this game. Oh, that's the takeaway that we have to have. Yep, jungle
diff.
Jungle diff indeed. Red buff, all these camps getting stolen away for Nongshim now, and well, you know, when we came, I was going to ask you all, when we came into this series, you talked about hoping for a Weibo 2-0 against Nongshim after their 2-0 against D plus Kia. What do you feel like you saw from Weibo work against DK that is now such a shortcoming against Nongshim? I'm going to give you time to think about it, because Tian is on a mission of his own. He's trying to deliver an AP Galio to the back line. They are just going to jump on top of Gideon. That is 3 ultimates to kill off Gideon, and they do. Jiwoo goes transcendent, dodges Crisp on his pulverized forward. Flying Drag comes across. There's the Cataclysm. They're getting all the knockups onto Jiwoo. He flashes away, but he doesn't have enough damage. Tian takes him out. Kalix cannot get onto Light on the backside, and Kingen is caught up Creek with no paddle right now. And a flash after Light goes into the stages, but Kalix now goes down. Tian hand delivers Weibo a huge flank, and out of nowhere, they wipe down 4 shutdowns off the map.
That's my jungle goat right there. Let's go, Tian. All right. It looked a bit weird, but again, this does not get easier, and that was a 9,000 gold lead now cut in half in favor of Weibo. Lehends getting chased around the map. I think it is bad. He needs to die soon. Baron spawns in a minute and a half, and they still need time to set up and get all of their objectives. Now, what are Weibo able to get in this one during all of this? It'll be a mid-tier 1. It'll be them pushing on the mid-tier 2, on the top lane tier 2s with Breathe. But I don't know if it necessarily gets them back into this game, Slayer, but that's exactly what we needed to see coming in from our boys in the LPL.
That's the type of fight that showed why we were so hesitant of this Nongshim draft. And it's a Tian Master super secret flank to kick it all off.
The damage, just the crowd control especially, is the most important part, and that is where this comp lies. We have not gotten a strong enough 5v5. I love this react from Weibo. Tian immediately hits the ultimate onto Jiwoo. Crisp, he only used the headbutt. It got dodged there by the Yunara. Comes back in with the pulverize and makes good on trying to find the AD carry. And then Corki into short-range teams is usually very, very strong. The Gatling gun gets a lot of value. And those were good shutdowns going over to Weibo Gaming. Now whether or not they can actually get through and win this game still is going to be a different matter. That is an LPL gold graph of all time. And welcome, LCK. This is the kind of gold graphs we have to deal with on a daily basis. Now they're fishing for Lehends. Remember, Baron spawning in 25 seconds. Any crowd control, any summoner spells they can get right now is an advantage going in their favor.
Let's see if the crowd control Crusaders, a.k.a. Weibo Gaming, in this first bout, can find themselves another good fight on their terms. Xiaohu reminding Kingen that he is full AP, so he doesn't want to eat too many of those Q combinations from the general. It's Weibo to bring the mid-wave all the way up, force Nongshim out of position to answer, and now we are all just jockeying for position with this Baron on the Rift for a second time.
All right, side lanes are going to stack, but in opposite directions. Weibo will have an advantage on... Oh, Xiaohu is dead.
Remember, he's pretty squishy. He has to flash over the wall. Breathe goes in the background. Here comes the hero's entrance through again. The knockups land. GA off of Jiwoo. Nongshim are going to have to fight without their big AD carry. He finally respawns, but is immediately bopped back down by Xiaohu. The crowd control and the superior front line shows up once again. A complete seesaw of a game one, but Weibo have found a way to make their fight might sing. It's only Kingen trying to delay time once more, but it's a Weibo ace with 4 up. Are they going to backdoor this game, Hulk?
No, I don't think that's possible. They don't have enough damage right now. It's just going to be Xiaohu getting themselves a mid-tier 2. Eyes on the Baron here. And Weibo are fighting back in this game number 1. I was calling this game over. I was saying that this was not possible for Nongshim to throw, but the Noodle Boys can only do it in such spectacular fashion. Of course, it is only Weibo that can make games like this happen on our screen. Let's take a look at this replay one more time. We thought it was Xiaohu getting caught, but a pretty nice deflect coming on through. Gets back over the wall, uses his ultimate to catch onto Jiwoo thanks to Breathe. And after that, it is just crowd control city. And same thing for Nongshim. They put all their eggs into killing Light in that basket. Ends up going on through the Guardian Angel for Tian. Locks down these members. This ultimate so important for such low range, low mobility carries coming in from Nongshim.
Listen, Hulk, the Galio flanks looked pretty dire and bad earlier, but now he's getting engaged on flashing and behind, re-entering with the hero's entrance as he does now, as they all try and dump onto Kalix. That's a really good rumble, though, from Kingen. And Weibo have to respect it. They do get the dominance out of the croc. Both solo lanes for Nongshim lose their ultimates. But Xiaohu without the hero's entrance. It's Tian that still holds onto the Cataclysm.
They need help.
Public execution available, but yeah, HP bars are a problem.
Tian needs to be able to get into this pit right now. They have Baron, but this is going to be Soul going over to Nongshim if they get this.
Oh, Lehends, 3-man Pop Blossom. Light gets himself out. Breathe able to kite back well. Xiaohu's going to be re-engaged. All he's using for Breathe. He gets Jiwoo again. But look at the top of your screen. Dragon is at 2.5k health, and Kalix knows he flashes onto Tian and makes sure that Nongshim secure the soul. Tian re-engages onto Jiwoo, but he's far too low. And the Yunara untouched again is a big, bad problem for Weibo to deal with. These fights have gone back and forth, and now it's Nongshim trying to swing back.
What?
He lost Jiwoo, and Breathe is unleashed. He's running, just dashing over and over again, and he's found kill after kill. It's Jiwoo and Lehends the only one that are left up. Xiaohu dashes forward. A big Q is going to fall just a bit short, and Gideon gets himself out with the Infernal Soul secured for Nongshim.
What is happening in this game? 35 minutes in, Weibo did not make a play that could connect onto Nongshim. Leads Tian with a quarter of his HP. Unable to get into that pit, just barely, not around the dragon. And now Weibo find themselves with a dragon soul down. This gold graph is going to be so disgusting in the postgame, no matter who ends up winning this game. And remember, the winner of this series is going to be waiting on the winner of the next to play semifinals later tonight as the last broadcast for tonight. It might be a long night for a lot of these guys. Weibo, man, like, we cannot be throwing in these objective fights. We need to be a little bit more secure about where we're looking for. And Nongshim, they're the team that originally had all this gold lead, so still a lot to play with when you're talking about this composition.
We've got Tian and Jiwoo's GA that is going to come up at relatively the same point, but there's not going to be much to fight over. For all the Mad Hatter chaos we've had in this game, there's no Baron for a while. There's no Elder for just about as long. So both these teams are going to have to really hone in and prioritize going for some of these plays. But Weibo, you mentioned, feel like they need to win now. They can't go for anything else. They dump a ton of damage into Lehends. That's the Nico killed off, but who really wins that trade with how many ults are levied and Kalix left alone on the bot side?
Yeah, there's no Lehends to be able to play for. I think this is just buying Weibo time right now. They pushed a lot of members into mid. Tian's going to fix this top wave, and Kalix doesn't really get to do all that much. All this means for Weibo is that they get some breathing room, and from Nongshim's perspective, they have to pull back a little bit. I think you can look at it from the minimap's perspective. Almost none of their vision is on the top side, and that's the next objective that's going to spawn. They're going to have to walk all the way through this jungle, clear out all this vision, and by that time, they're not going to have sweepers. They might just have control wards there to help them. So for Weibo, this is more of a buying time procedure.
Jiwoo gets that level 16 ultimate over. Soon to finish out on a armor pen item and a GA in tote. This game has been defined by a lot of things. The early jungle starts, And just these raw team fights from these short-range compositions. Xiaohu is flashing on top of Kalix to get the taunt into the 2 Flagger Drag knockup. They send Breathe into the back line, trying to cut down Jiwoo, but Jiwoo is stuck between everyone coming in the backside of the fight, and the untouched Yunara might just be Weibo's undoing. All these GAs pop, but Jiwoo is just rolling through all of these Weibo health bars, and with his own GA, he's going to shut down Breathe and come back up firing once more like it's a really close redemption. But he needs to find these rockets. Kingen, Jiwoo, and Kalix, they're all too low. They can't get close enough to kill Light off. And we have another anticlimactic end to such a whirling start.
Why are we trying to make that engage onto the Renekton? You get the Guardian Angel out of a lot of players, so all in all, I think both teams are okay with the trade. Kalix just has so much HP, and this is what the Renekton is to bring you. 3,000 HP, then he pops the Dominance. That's a bonus 600 on top of that. On top of the Sterix gauge, which then gets popped. He has that and the upgraded tier boots. He buys so much time in this fight, and why are we fighting into a choke point versus a Rumble and a Nico? This is almost asking for a straight-up loss handed to them. Weibo barely get out of this play thanks to the damage, and again, all of these GAs that they have that are now gone for this next fight before the Baron and before the Elder spawns.
Oh man, staring at 4 GAs on cooldown. That is ludicrous. And by the way, if Gideon and or Breathe get enough golden time, they also will be sporting a revive in just one of the games of all time for the Asia Invitational, and it's only going to get crazier, folks. Baron is now here, mere seconds until it spawns on the map, and Nongshim have all the control of the river outside of that scuttle crab. Yep, there's the toggle.
There it is.
Very
Good job from our observers. They also don't have push on side lanes right now. That bottom wave is starting to stack in favor of Nongshim. Also going to have a wave that's going to reinforce it soon enough. Maybe Chris gets a good flank after this wave. Need to see Xiaohu and Breathe walk together. They are the big parts of getting this engine online. A ward from Lehends is going to spot out Crisp. And it is complete domination. And there he is!
Oh.
God Guo has made the transition. He's going over the Nongshim side. He's feeling the Noodle Boys will be taking a Game 1 victory here. It's a sad day here. Let's see whether or not he is continuously going to show whether he is correct or he is lying. He's come back. He's come back. He's come back.
He's come back.
Yes!
All right. Weibo, start the Baron right now. You've got the power of the Grasshopper behind you. You have to start something. They're actually completely in control of top river. Crisp is still really committed to this flank. He's going to headbutt Jiwoo out. But, oh, boy, the stuns are layering, and Crisp does not have a GA to deal with. He has to pop the Unbreakable Will, and without that ultimate, that is going to be Jiwoo's butter knife cutting through Crisp's butter. But, oh, my God, Elder's up. Why do we care about Baron?
We spent so much time controlling the top side that now we're waiting for Elder to spawn. Now Gideon in a flank. Does Xiaohu end up marking him? They have had no eyes as to where Gideon has been this entire play.
The Elder is very low. Gideon's close enough to smite. Tian has stolen away 2 huge objectives already, but there's the Pop Blossom on to 4 from Lehends. Chris dives in after the Yunara. Jiwoo is now down. Who finds the Elder? That's who's going to win this fight, and it's Gideon that secures it. Back into the back end, those Tian, he drops the counter to 2. Kingen gets popped.
What?
Heads out of the GA, dies. It's only Kalix with no GA to contest with versus the top side of Weibo. No Elder, no problem. Weibo are going to win a climactic start to our series.
How the hell do you get Infernal Soul and the Elder and you lose? Nongshim, what the hell happened here? Weibo, down everything. Down gold, down experience, down objectives. Find game number 1 by any means necessary.
No gold, no objectives, just vibes. And a goated jungler in Tian. Started off hot, ends even hotter, and Weibo are 1-0 up against Nongshim.
Let's go! You asked. We said, how do we get a Weibo win here? What are we looking for them after beating up on D+? It's get a 2 over Nongshim. Let's go.
And play what was maybe the most entertaining game of League the ASI has seen, but also the ugliest. I think at one point in this game, everyone made a pretty big blunder that could have thrown this away. But it was Nongshim that made the last one. That's all that matters is, oh my God. I already see the LPL English
That's
social
beautiful.
media post.
And we're unshadow banned. This is a great day. This is a great day.
There
Unshadow
it
banned
is.
for now. For now, fingers crossed. But wow, I don't know what else to kind of say. I mean, this game was so back and forth. We had questions for both drafts as to how they were going to eventually come online. And while the early game looked very good for Nongshim, they were rolling most of this game number 1. Xiaohu came up clutch in this one on the AP Galio of all things.
55k damage. Leads every single member in this game on the Glass Cannon Galio. Take that to your solo queue games, guys. I promise it will go well.
Well, if you're going to do it on the enemy team, please.
Yes,
still,
yes.
We got to see that the crowd control was too much. We talked about range being an important factor here of tonight's game. And Yunara doesn't usually get to hit if she has to stand outside of the Galio ultimate. Also, we saw that the engage for Nongshim was essentially just Vi. That's your only piece of real crowd control. You don't have a front line outside of that. It is mostly going to be this Renekton. Lehends is not a champion is not on a champion that gives him that kind of luxury. And multiple times throughout this game, yes, he landed a Pop Blossom, but was kind of the first target in a lot of instances.
Yeah, and we didn't get to talk too much about it because the game just was everything was spilling out towards the end of this one, but face value of this draft, right? You talked about how Vi's your only engaged, but just think about how some of these Nongshim champions want to be most powerful in a game like this when we go 37+ minutes. It's a Rumble, it's a Vi, it's a Renekton, it's a Nico. The only person on Nongshim that's really happy to see a game draw out this long is Jiwoo on the Yunara. But once we saw Weibo in this fight in particular finally get towards this Yunara, felt like everything clicked, Alk. And every fight after that, Jiwoo was never able to kind of just free hit like we saw him do in those 10 minutes in the mid game where we thought Nongshim had just completely run Weibo over and taken a game 1 win.
I just wanted to get a clean 5v5, and while maybe clean is not the adjective we could use to describe it, we actually did get to see what happens when the solo lanes of Weibo get to enter into a fight. Multiple times, it's Breathe getting those ultimates like you're mentioning, and everything just falls into place. Just really, really good eventual team play coming on through, and relying on kind of the sturdiness of the champions that they had from the draft. Like, this Infernal Soul, you should not be losing with Infernal Soul. That's just a point and blank, very simple.
And they do win this fight pretty outright. But yeah, it's, you know what? I'm going to chalk it up to Weibo just pulling Nongshim into the LPL.
Thank
chaos.
you, Weibo.
Because there were definitely a couple of games this LPL split or year where I saw teams lose with an Infernal Soul or just a Soul in general. I've seen teams lose with Baron and Elder together. I actually think we've seen that in the ASI. I saw that on the first day of the ASI.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just the ASI is also infected with whatever we like to see in the, well, like is a tough word, what we see in the LPL all year long.
Wow, 29 HP is the last value I saw there. And again, was secured by Nongshim. Thinking about MVPs, I think there's a few players we could give it to. My mind is immediately going to either Tian or Xiaohu.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Xiaohu kind of brought it together with the damage and his ultimate, but Tian was early game, started off 3-0, got multiple smite steals on Otacon and Baron, ends up going over to our man in the mid lane.
Yeah, it's a little bit of the statistics buff helping out here, right? He does the most damage of anyone in the game. He also has a high kill participation at 82%, so a Galio that we felt like might not get to operate because of the build path he had to go has an MVP-like performance, a player of the game. You want to know who the Players of Our Stream award would go to, though, folks? That is to a lot of you at home, and most importantly, right now, our coffee supporters. They make our show run all year long. It's a big reason why we've been able to do what we do here for, I guess if we're counting the ASI, nearing 900 games of League of Legends streamed. But you might be asking yourself, how do I become a coffee supporter? Well, if you like to support LPL English and become a coffee member, that's how you do it. Coffee is the best way to support the LPL English project. A lot of your contributions will go directly to the show you're seeing now. payments go into upgrading the broadcast, but a huge bulk of it pays on-air talent and content creators. You can subscribe to our coffee. It is linked in the chat, so make sure to check that one out, and you will unlock perks like early access to content and the ability to ask interview questions for our on-site interviews. And the one note that I want to make is all those nice, lovely things don't just pertain to the LPL. We got to do some amazing MSI work this year, too, thanks to a lot of you guys.
And we're gonna be at Worlds, guys. I'm not gonna be at Worlds, unfortunately. I know. But hopefully we'll have some interviews for everybody at home. And if you want to get those special interviews, if you want to get some questions in, gotta be logged in and tapped in on our coffee. So we're gonna get to a short break, and we're back. We'll be here with game number 2 between Weibo Gaming and Nongshim RedForce.